gonna go from there.
Okay, 5 people.
All right. Should I just submit all?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I just share my screen here. All right, I guess we'll start now. Some people might be filtering in, but let's start on time so that we don't run too far over. Welcome to Digital Rendezvous. My name's Annie Smith. I work for Colorado Trout Unlimited, and tonight is all about youth education and opportunities for youth education in Colorado Trout Unlimited and with chapters. The presentation will be hosted by Barbara Luneau, who is chair of the Headwaters Committee, and then Geoff Elliott, who is our youth education coordinator for Colorado Trout Unlimited. We have some sponsors that we'd like to thank for Rendezvous. They include Alpine Bank, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, Brightwater Engineers, and Freestone Aquatics. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. And you can check out that link, coloradotu.org rendezvous, where you can learn more about sponsors and about the other sessions that we have previously recorded, as well as future ones to attend. And tonight our featured sponsor is Alpine Bank, and we're going to watch a quick 30-second advert from them. All right, thank you again for joining us, and I will turn it over to Barbara and Geoff.
Thank you, Annie.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. I recognize some of your names, and those of you that I haven't met before, really nice to see you. As Annie said, I am the chairperson of the Headwaters Youth Programming Program, or programs, and I sit on the CTU board as the Northeast Regional Vice President. And I'm also president of the St. Vrain chapter up in the Longmont, Lyons, Frederick Dacono area. And those of you that know me know I'm super passionate about youth programming. Not only do I chair the committee, I get hands-on involved in a number of our programs. So I'm really excited to introduce all of you to Geoff Elliott tonight. Geoff is our newly hired youth education coordinator. Geoff joined our team this past summer in August. Previously, Geoff was working at Rocky Mountain Conservancy in Estes Park, managing youth volunteer programs and a variety of other youth-related programs there. And Geoff brings a tremendous amount of expertise and experience and drive to this position. And all summer long, we have not been sitting still. We've been looking at the situation and how do we adapt our programs. And so we haven't dropped the ball. We've kept the ball in play, and we are, hoping to engage you and also, bring new ideas to our chapters where our youth programming through stream of engagement can also increase engagement in your chapter or club at this time when everyone's really challenged with how we do that. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn the program over to Geoff, and Geoff will kick us off.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Barbara, for that great introduction. And thank you all for attending our session this evening. I'll get my screen shared in just a moment, but just wanted to give you all a warm welcome. I hope everyone's had a good day today, and look forward to our next hour or so together. So let me get this screen shared. Give me just one moment. All right. All right, so as you all know, our program tonight is Stream of Engagement Programming, Youth Engagement Opportunities in Your Community. So we'll start out with just a quick overview of the different Stream of Engagement programs and sort of our goals with the Stream of Engagement. And then we're gonna dive into some more sort of a discussion group. I think with this number of folks, we probably can do it all together as a discussion. If more folks come in, we can break that up into smaller breakouts. And so the Stream of Engagement, I'll start out with some community expectations first. So first off, we just want to be sure that everyone's present here. We ask that you're all in while you're here, and then focus on the topic of discussion. I know sometimes we can get into, it's easy to get into little tangents as we start chatting. And so let's just try and focus our attention on the youth education program. If you have any questions that come up during the presentation, feel free to add those to the chat tool. Certainly when we get to our breakout discussion, we can try and address those in a more conversational manner, but just to work our way through the presentation itself, we'll use the chat for that. In the same kind of line, let's be sure that we keep ourselves muted during the presentation portion. Certainly once we get to the breakout rooms, we'll welcome everyone to participate in that discussion. And then we want everyone to welcome diverse perspectives and experiences. We're all experts and we all have things to learn. And so we really invite us all to kind of share what our experience, but also learn from each other. And then let's just be conscious of airtime, let everyone contribute. And then we're excited that we have this opportunity, even amidst COVID, to be able to connect with each other and connect with new folks in a time where we certainly are much more socially distant than we would like to be, especially during rendezvous. And so for the Colorado Trout Unlimited Stream of Engagement, for the programs that we have, follow this sort of trajectory from kids, teens, young adults, and into adulthood. And the goal is that we kind of carry people through and start to engage people in these program for kids. And so these would be kind of elementary school, middle school kids, Trout in the Classroom, through Stream Girls, Stream Explorers, and these other programs. And these are a little bit like lower intensity programs. We'll talk a little bit more about them in a moment. And then as we get into the teens, it's a little bit more in depth, more ongoing programming, more engagement with certainly higher level. I know we have some Costa TU Five Rivers clubs on this call, and so thank you for joining us. And this would be sort of our young adult, college age audience with those clubs, as well as the internships. And then the goal is that through all these programs, we can create river stewards that will become TU members and TU volunteers. And so the goal of our Stream of Engagement programs is to cultivate the next generation of cold water fisheries conservationists. And so we have this suite of programs that we'll be reviewing that kind of transcend really all ages from kindergarten up through adulthood, with our focus being on sort of kindergarten through college age. We have in-school programs. We have some programs that are more extracurricular outside of school. And then we have summer-based programming as well. And as mentioned, this is curriculum-based. Some of them are informal, and then some of them are certainly more focused on recreation. Ooh, pardon me. And we really rely on partnerships with chapters and volunteers. Myself, I'm the only staff committed to the youth education program. And we have the Headwaters committee led by Barbara. But then the chapters really is where the rubber hits the road, and they are able to engage these younger audiences on the ground. And so our role at CTU is largely to provide resources, trainings, and kits to make these programs easy for chapters to host in their areas. And that's what we hope to learn from all of you, is how we can improve upon that. So our flagship programs at CTU, and these are the ones that we've
Annie, did we lose Geoff?
Frozen in time.
We might have lost Geoff. Thanks. Okay. Uh-oh. Here, let me share my screen. Share.
Well, I am sorry for that.
Oh, okay, cool. You're back.
I'm back. So sorry for that. It looks like the internet blipped out for me. Let me get you back to that screen share. So sorry, I'm currently evacuated from my home, and so I'm at a different space trying to manage the internet access in a new area. So I apologize for that. I'm hopeful that won't happen again.
Geoff, you can stop your video if you want. That might save on your bandwidth.
All right.
Just do mic and slides. Yeah. Let's try that.
All right.
And
I'll just start over on this slide. I'm not sure where I cut out here.
Geoff, maybe go back one, please.
Okay, perfect.
You cut out when you were talking about the flagship programs.
All right. So again, I apologize for that. So here at Colorado Trout Unlimited, we invested a lot in these flagship programs, developing resources, and I'm grateful for my predecessors who spent a lot of time developing these. And so these include Trout in the Classroom, Colorado River Watch, Stream Girls, Stream Explorers, our River Conservation and Fly Fishing Camp, and then TU teams. And here at CTU, our goal is to increase these programs statewide by supporting chapters and collaborators with a variety of different resources. So the first one I want to go over is Trout in the Classroom. So Trout in the Classroom is an in-school program where students raise trout from eggs to fingerlings with the hope that they're able to release those. And this is available for school children of all ages. So we have elementary groups, our elementary schools that host these all the way up through high schools. And this year we even have some sites or some chapters that are hosting them in sort of community areas or community tanks sort of during COVID as some of the schools are shut down. And there's a lot of freedom amongst teachers to integrate these into their curriculum. Because of that, they have interdisciplinary applications. Some teachers use these in aquaponics class, environmental science classes, but they also have, at an elementary school level, often teachers use these for art projects, writing assignments, math homework, science, testing water quality, all sorts of different applications in the schools. And this year is actually a tank at West Denver, and they had about 90 fish that made it through COVID and survived through the summer. And so we were excited to have these ones for potential release this fall. So the role of the chapters here is each chapter, so the schools are tied to their local chapter. So for example, a school in Denver would be working with Denver TU. Up here in Estes Park, where I am, we have a school that works with alpine anglers to host their TIC or Trout in the Classroom site. And so the chapters help to support the equipment costs. They can help with supplemental programming. And so that can be either coming in to share some more information about Trout Unlimited, taking the kids out to teach them how to fly cast or do fly tying with them. And they also assist with some of the testing requirements. And so that's just keeping the water quality, being sure the water quality is managed. And this often comes up in, vacations, Christmas break, those sort of holiday times where the kids might not be there to help out with that water quality testing. So the chapters can help support that. Certainly working to participate in the release field trip. So when those fish are able to be released, helping to celebrate that alongside the class. And then this is really an opportunity for chapters to engage with schools, and through those schools, engage with families through that involvement in the classroom. And this is really a great opportunity for folks for chapters and Colorado Trout Unlimited to engage a large number of students. We have schools all over Colorado, and working to increase the number of trout in the classroom sites, because this is a great gateway for people to learn about trout, learn about fisheries conservation, and learn about Trout Unlimited through all this.
Yeah, and I could add a little bit to this, Geoff. If you start, engage in your community with trout in the classroom, Geoff hit the nail on the head. It really does open the door. You can start with back to school night and having an information table that makes families aware of what your chapter or your organization is doing in the community, meet community members. Right now, in this photograph, the cover is taken off of this tank, but trout actually like it dark, and the tanks are usually covered. So, imagine the side of that tank has a big Trout Unlimited logo and says, Trout in the Classroom, sponsored by West Denver chapter, or whatever chapter you represent. It's there in front of people's faces all the time, raising your profile in the community. In addition to, helping the schools with the release field trip, which is great press and for your chapter, for the school, for the community. Schools also are looking for support from chapters if they're involved in water qualities, maybe bio blitzes. It's kind of a gateway for bringing other programs. If you have programs for youth in different grade levels, it opens the door for recruiting for your programs, and the opportunity for you to provide information about what Trout Unlimited does, going back to families too. So, one trout in the classroom, a lot of schools also share these between classrooms. So it may be one tank presumably taken care of, say, by the 5th grade, but all the school kids in the school are aware of that program, and usually they're in schools with integrated learning programs. So, there's several hundred students that then cascade to, how many hundreds of people in families suddenly your chapter is getting exposed to. So Trout in the Classroom is a fantastic gateway into your community through your schools.
The next program we wanted to chat about was Stream Girls, and this is a newer program for TU. It was developed in partnership with Girl Scouts. And the stream here has 2 meanings. Of course, the one that first comes to mind is what we think of when we think of trout, these small creeks and streams that many of us love to fish. But it also serves as an acronym where we take the STEM or the STEAM that goes on in schools a lot now with science and technology, engineering, arts, and math, and then add that recreation component around the fishing. And so this is really focused on trying to engage young girls, usually middle school aged, through Girl Scouts in river ecology, as well as conservation-based programming. And so this is a one-day program that we are in person. When it occurs in person, it's a one-day, single-day program. Right now, we're hosting this virtually with a series of self-guided videos that help Girl Scouts through these activities, through the 6 activities that Stream Girls is comprised of. And these include river walk, where they get a chance to, or pardon me, stream walk, where they get a chance to make observations about habitat, the sort of the river itself, the weather that day, just sort of warming them up and their senses to sort of taking everything in along the river, and then into some more really targeted activities around macroinvertebrate surveys, water flow testing, or pardon me, water flow measurements, fly casting instruction, fly tying instruction, and then diving, kind of using what they've developed to identify the 9 healthy ingredients, or 9 ingredients of a healthy stream. And so for this program, we've had a lot of interest amongst Girl Scouts, even during COVID. This year, I think we've had probably well over 50 Girl Scouts participate kind of across the state at this coming up this week with our one on the Western Slope. But a big opportunity here exists in engaging a new audience. So some younger girls that certainly, and families as well, that aren't always aware of Trout Unlimited. And so at the chapter level, chapters help with event planning and event costs. When this is an in-person, we're renting a facility and coordinating some of the logistics around that. Providing volunteers for leadership during the event. So helping kind of guide the Girl Scouts through these different activities. Coordinating with Colorado Trout Unlimited, as we have an equipment kit and sort of a plug and play where we can provide you with all the necessary gear and supplies to host this program for upwards of 20 Girl Scouts. But I think a big opportunity here is you get these young Girl Scouts really excited about their local watershed and their local river, and give them a taste of fly fishing through the casting demonstrations and instruction and fly tying. And there's a lot of opportunity to carry that excitement forward with some post-event engagement, both with the Girl Scout leaders, the parents and families, and then certainly the participants as well. And this year, as I mentioned, we sort of modified it to adapt to COVID. And so we've been hosting it virtually, where the girls have about 10 days to complete a series of these 6 activities, as well as the introduction and reflection, using some self-guided videos that we put together. Barbara, is there anything you'd like to add here?
Yeah, thank you, Geoff. From an engagement perspective, Stream Girls is in terms of the families in your community, Stream Girls is somewhat similar to Trout in the Classroom. It's exposing you to families, and a pretty diverse array of families too, maybe more than you would get from your typical membership. So it's really good from that perspective. Your volunteers have the opportunity to communicate with those families, identify, we identify girls all the time interested in learning more about fly tying and fly casting, and maybe participating in additional educational events in your chapter. It's a great way, if you participate in our camp program, to identify young ladies that to attend our camp when they're graduate into that 14 to 18 age class. And it also provides you with a fantastic volunteer engagement. We train the volunteers and leaders on how to deliver this event, and it attracts a pretty diverse group of volunteers, a lot of young volunteers and a lot of female volunteers that are particularly interested in mentoring girls in STEM. And so this is a fantastic opportunity. Stream Girls is a great opportunity if you want to offer an activity that will attract a different demographic into your volunteer pool and into your chapter, Stream Girls is a great place to start. And it answers that diversity piece both on the side of the kids that we're interacting with and the volunteers that are attracted to helping support this program.
Thank you, Barbara. So Barbara mentioned it in that last slide. And so Colorado Trout Unlimited hosts a river conservation and fly fishing camp every year. So this is a week-long overnight camp for high school aged youth focused on river conservation, stewardship projects, fly fishing skills, and some career development as well. The camp is entirely volunteer-led, and it is based in Almont, Colorado. So we're blessed with the opportunity to explore the Gunnison River, upper sort of headwaters of the Gunnison River from that location. And this camp is really a great opportunity, as Barbara mentioned, to engage some of those folks that either you can identify through Trout in the Classroom program or Trout in the classrooms themselves, the Stream Girls programming, or if you have sort of high school students that are participating in chapter events, an opportunity for them to really dive into fisheries conservation through the camp. And so, as I mentioned, it really is an in-depth experience. They're there for 7 days, both getting to know sort of like-minded folks and really delving into some hands-on experience. And so chapters in this program help a lot with outreach and recruitment. And that's where some of these programs that engage younger audiences can really help us cultivate people into this more in-depth program, or younger people into this more in-depth program. The camp does have a fee associated with it, so often chapters help provide scholarships to campers in need to ensure that we can reduce the barriers for participating in the camp. They can help support volunteer leadership. As mentioned, this is a fully volunteer-led camp. Barbara is actually our camp director. And so we always are looking for volunteers to help support as camp counselors at this event. And then after the camp, this is an incredible opportunity to, especially if you've helped reach out to these teenagers, you've maybe helped provide scholarships to them. And then once they complete the camp, to try and continue engage them both as chapter members in events and volunteer opportunities. Especially since oftentimes high schools require volunteer hours, and many of these people are trying to sort of explore what their next step might be. Barbara, I'll let you add.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and that's really a great point. I think that we really want to change how these kids engage with chapters following attending this camp. And so I think that, as chapter leaders, it's really going to be incumbent on all of us to engage these kids, to invite them to programs, to invite them to volunteer events. They want to connect, but a lot of them need to be invited. So this is another fantastic opportunity, really, to bring a younger face into your chapter events. And from a volunteer opportunities within your chapter, the opportunity to even just be a day counselor and mentor these young people from other, early career professionals or college students. If you're involved with the Five River Costas, Costa Five Rivers chapter, we'd love to see some of you at camp, because a big part of what comes out of this camp is lifetime relationships, not just between the campers, but with our staff and mentors. And we're trying to provide an experience for these young people to see the variety of paths that they might choose, and the fact that there is no one single path, but there's a lot of opportunity out there. So participating in the camp, it's a real partnership between the council and the chapters from a lot of different angles. And I think there's a great opportunity to have youth coming back into your communities, and building that up through the years. You'll have kids returning to your chapter, as they come back into their communities too.
And so if you paid attention to the last slide, you'll notice that it was information from the 2019 camp. And that was because this year camp had to go virtual. And so we had a TU Teens Live, and I apologize, the heading of this slide is incorrect. But this is about TU Teens, where it's an opportunity to engage teens. And so this year, TU Teens actually replaced camp. We engaged the campers through the series of online sessions in June and July, trying to replicate some of the content that occurs during camp with some self-guided activities out there, or sort of outside of the sort of Zoom meetings that they participated in. But what this really did was open the door for us to see that there's a lot of opportunity to engage teens from across the state in an ongoing fashion through virtual programming and virtual platforms. And so we're really looking to explore opportunities to expand this throughout the school year, to not just have camp be this thing that happens in the summer, but find opportunities to engage those same folks and ask them to invite additional people in throughout the rest of the year. And again, so this is similarly, chapters can help with some of the outreach and recruitment for TU teens as we develop this program and look towards identifying different program speakers and content that might be interesting, either in a local context or in a broader kind of statewide, for statewide audience. Hopefully we'll be able to support logistics. Chapters will be able to support logistics for some in-person events. And then again, this is a great opportunity for both us at CTU, but more importantly for the chapters to really engage teens as chapter members through these events, and hopefully through volunteer opportunities that will come out of these. And so Barbara, do you want to mention anything from teens this
No,
summer?
I just want to build on that, that concept of, we're going to be definitely wanting help from the chapters as we move forward with this. I could see in 4 years' time us having 100 or more teens engaged in TU Teens statewide, and we'll be wanting to create events like volunteer events regionally that we can deploy groups of teens out to go and do some good locally. So we're going to really be hitting you as chapter leaders, as club leaders, to help us in organizing events and identifying volunteer opportunities for our teens, so that we are creating that entire stream of engagement. TU National gives us an opportunity, as chapters, as a state council, to pick and choose out of this continuum. And part of our goal here is to create a better continuum of engagement for youth, so that a kid growing up may, might do a fishing derby in your chapter. They might engage in trout in the classroom or river watch, maybe a stream girls or a stream kids program at the middle school level, or stream explorers. And then from there, move on to TU teens and stay engaged in TU through high school. And then they arrive at college. They've been exposed to Five Rivers College members, through, say, their own volunteerism, and know that when they go to college, they can still have a connection both to the fly fishing that they love so much, but also the environmental awareness and community engagement. The past 2 years, we've invested a lot in creating infrastructure so that the flagship programs are easily delivered. It's kind of plug and play for any of our chapters or partners that want to take these on. And then going forward, one of the things Geoff will be focusing on is now beefing it up and keep creating that continuum of experience that's age relevant.
Yeah, and in that, in Barbara's comments, she mentioned a few of our other programs, both that we have here in Colorado. And so Stream Explorers, similar to Stream Girls, is a sort of watershed science exploration program for elementary and middle school students to get to know their local watershed. National Fishing in Schools program, an opportunity often tied to physical education classes for folks to kind of develop those fishing skills and outdoor skills while in school. Colorado River Watch is a water science program. It's actually a citizen science program, rather, focused around collecting data from watersheds, and that data is actually then used by Colorado River Watch to sort of create a database for understanding any changes in watersheds. And then, of course, as some of you here on the call are, TU Five Rivers College Club members. And so here in Colorado, I believe we have 5 clubs sort of scattered at different schools across the state. And so that's sort of that higher end age group that we would be engaging in our Headwaters programs. And so our goal for the next part, and how many folks do we have on now? 10 or so.
We have 8 participants, but I see a lot of names of people on this council. Are you guys here representing your council, the council, or your chapter? You could say so in the chat.
Yeah, we're looking at about 13 people total.
Yeah, with us.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think with that group, and we can probably just keep it to kind of a single group discussion with all of us. And so we'd love for everyone to unmute themselves. And we said,
turn on your camera too, please.
We set aside 30 minutes for this, but we certainly can sort of gauge as we go through the conversation just to be mindful of everyone's time. But we'd love to have just introduce themselves, name, pardon me, location or chapter affiliation, and then if you've had any prior involvement. I want to dive into some of these deep dive questions around sort of barriers and opportunities. So let's go ahead and just get started with our introductions. And so as we do in our Stream Girls program, I'd love for Laura to start, and then as she wraps up, she can call on someone else to go next.
Hi, I'm Laura Beer. I am with West Denver chapter, and I am a member at large for the CTU Youth Education and with Barbara, and I have been the youth ed coordinator for our chapter for our Windy Peak Outdoor Lab. And I also facilitate the scholarship that we offer to CSU and for a fellowship they have up there for graduate students. Let's just go down the line. Annie.
All right, I'm unmuted. Like I said earlier, my name's Annie Smith. I work for Colorado Trout Unlimited in communications and membership engagement. Location, I'm currently in the North Metro Denver area. And my involvement has been as support as staff. So I've helped out with Stream Girls for kind of documenting with pictures, promoting them. And then I had a little more involvement with the TU Teens Live, helping Barbara being kind of tech support and helping with that kind of transition to virtual. So that's been kind of my involvement. Let's see. Dave is right over there. How about Dave, if you would go ahead?
Okay, my name's Dave Hoisler. I'm with the Rocky Mountain Flycasters chapter. I'm the youth outreach coordinator and education chair, and also the fly fishing day camp director. I'm been involved with extensive experience with Boy Scouts, and also just new to Fort Collins area, coming from Texas, where I was a board member of the only chapter in Texas, the Guadalupe River Trout Unlimited chapter, who is the sponsor for or the creator of the GRTU Tomorrow Fund, really sponsoring involvement in youth education. And so next, let's see here, I'll go feel like I'm playing Hollywood Squares here. Carter, how we go there from CSU, just across town from me.
Yeah, so my name's Carter Abramson. I'm the new and current president of the Five Rivers Club here at CSU. And originally I'm from the East Coast back in New Hampshire, and there through early high school, I attended their youth camp and then went back and have been a volunteer counselor there 2 other years. In addition to that, I attended the National Teen Summit in Virginia in 2018 and worked with Franklin and Tara there and was on the Youth Leadership Council, and then made my way out here and joined the club last year and am now the president.
Cool. Welcome, Carter.
Thank you. It's good to meet everybody.
Mhm.
We'll pass it off to Cliff, our other TU Five Rivers kid here.
Hey everyone, my name is Cliff Watson, and I'm up in Boulder, and I'm the president of the University of Colorado Boulder Fly Fishing Club. I've been in the club since I was a freshman, and that was my first experience with fly fishing, and since then I've advanced and have moved up to the president position. We haven't had any real prior involvement with the streamer engagement programs besides the Five Rivers program. And that's why I'm really excited to be here to hear about all these really cool opportunities that we can get the club involved in. I really like the idea of Stream Girls. One of our main objectives is to get more women in our club, actually. We need some diversity in the fly fishing community, and we see that as a great way to go about it. So I plan on getting involved in the Stream Girls organization.
Awesome.
Thank you. How about
Thank you,
Mr.
Cliff.
Buck? Yep, you're welcome.
Cliff, is that a Captains for Clean Water hat?
This is a Captains for Clean Water hat. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Good program down there. All right. Mr. Buck, how about you?
You bet. Buck Skillen, Five Rivers chapter based in Durango, Colorado. I might add that it was chartered in 1984. The Coast of People decided, and along with National TU, decided to co-opt our name for the college, which I guess is okay. Anyway, we have attempted to
Unbelievable.
We've attempted to get some connections going with both the Boy Scouts and Cub Scout, or Girl Scouts here in Durango, and haven't gotten much traction there. We've got we had plans to get some youth education going. We had a pond to go to with fish in it, had everything set, and then COVID came along and smacked that down. We publicized the the online TU Teens online camp. And I'm not sure if anyone from this area participated. We don't get feedback on it, or haven't gotten feedback on it. We always budget for at least one camper, tuition for one camper to go from our area here. 2019, we had two young youngsters that we did the tuition for. Throughout the classroom, we've had a couple of iterations of TIC down here. Currently, there is no TIC going on. Can't seem to get traction on that either. We have a program. I say we. One of our school psychologists has put together a program called the Mindful Angler, which is aimed at fifth graders. And it has been quite successful. Our chapter has members that have supported that and worked with those youngsters and worked with the teachers that are taking it on. I've done programs for a couple of the schools where I do a program on bugs, fly casting. We've got a quiver of the Echo micro practice rods that we can take out, as well as a quiver of regular fly rods from TFO, and have taught a number of youngsters in that setting. At least got them exposed to fly casting, and we continue to look for ways to connect with the youth. We do have one very unique program going on here in Durango. It's through the Water Information Program, which is based out of the Southwestern Water Conservation District, run by Elaine Chick. And she does, we didn't have it this past May because of COVID, but the first Wednesday in May up until 2020, there was a children's water festival that took place up at Fort Lewis College. And we've had upwards of 700 fifth graders descend on that Wednesday at Fort Lewis for 20-minute sessions with everybody from farmers about how important water is to our local Mountain Studies Institute does a great program. We put on a program, our chapter puts on a program, introducing the youngsters to aquatic insects and how important that is to water quality. In 2019, I was the one of two water wizards. That was a program that was started quite a few years back, in which the schools are given sample questions to study up on, and then every 20-minute session, two classes are pitted against one another in sort of a Jeopardy-like competition to see who gets the most points. One year they made a mistake of giving away water pistols. And I'm sure you can appreciate how that degenerated with every kid running to the bathroom to fill a water pistol up. CPW is there with a tank full of fish. The fire department's there running bucket brigades. It's a great program that the Water Information Program is put together. And I know that's a whole lot of this, that, and the other for me, so I'll sign off for now.
Buck, you got to choose the next victim.
Lost my head. I don't. I'm not seeing everybody.
I'll go, Buck.
You go. Everybody's already talked. Oh, John Covert hadn't talked.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think I might pick on Hardy next. I'm not quite sure though. I'll have to think about it. Hey everybody, Matt Moskal. I serve as the Colorado Council Chair. Thanks for everybody for joining us tonight, and for Barb and Geoff for putting these things on. I'll make this quick because I know we have a lot of conversation to be had. I just want to say that I'm particularly excited about this program, these programs, I should say. mainly because it's a way to engage a certain type of person that's not necessarily the quintessential TU member. But then secondly, and arguably more importantly, the work that we do is for multiple generations. So if we do not replace ourselves as conservationists, our work does not mean nearly as much. So this is really near and dear to my heart, and I'm just thankful that we have Geoff and Barb to run it, and having such engaged members tuning in tonight is also wonderful. Hardy, I'm picking on you.
Oh, okay. Greg Hardy, Gore Range Anglers up in Summit County. I think it was 2 years ago we sent Cooper to camp. I think gave him a half scholarship, so that was our participation there with camp. He really loved it, and he came back and he told me, I finally got to be around people that were just like me. He was very excited. He's a homeschool kind of student.
There's nobody like Cooper.
He's the only one I have that correctly identified a golden trout in Summit County at the ripe old age, I think, of 7th grade. Trout in the classroom, Jamie Lambrick, which is a high school student there, Summit County. He actually won a national educational award and went to the White House to get his award for his work in trout in the classroom. And that just keeps expanding every year. And his program last year went down to the Blue Valley Ranch, which is owned by a billionaire, and they put them in dry suits, and they are actually underwater looking at bugs and fish. So that program keeps expanding, and we support that. Colorado Mountain College up in Leadville gave me a call last spring. They wanted to start a Five Rivers Club. So we got just started. We were getting ready to do some casting lessons, and then COVID hit. So we've donated some tying kits for them. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were up at the college there in Leadville doing some casting lessons. And we can get in their gym this winter, I guess. So we're going to continue doing casting and fly tying with them. So that's it. Is there anybody else that we missed?
John Covert has not introduced himself.
Yeah, I'd like to contribute our efforts. My name's John Covert. I'm a board member with the Denver TU chapter. And we do quite a bit of outreach along the metro section of the Denver South Platte. It ranges from working with giving a field trip option for conventioneers that come into Denver. Last summer, there was a national conference of park and recreation departments. And so we took them down onto the Denver South Platte, and we seen microinvertebrates and identified them and as to the water quality, and gave them Camara rods, and we fished and really give them a perspective of what an urban river, the challenges of improving the habitat in an urban river. Mm-hmm. And we're very involved with trout in the classroom with I don't know how many classrooms in the Denver area. But I just initiated an effort today with the Denver Park and Rec Department. And this is associated with the redevelopment of the National Western Complex. You know, $1 billion effort that the voters are helping to finance. CSU has come in and they are building three structures on the redevelopment. One of these is the water resource building, that fronts right on the South Platte riverfront. Over 200 acres that's being cleared as we speak. And we have been working with the National Western organization, trying to figure out how to program all the opportunities that's going to be available to the residents of Denver. And we have proposed a fishing access on the river while improving the habitat at that particular location. And we have access to a laboratory that will store all of our supplies and allow us to work with young people right next to the river in the CSU water lab. Today I met with the director of the city park and rec. And the reason I did this is because the National Western Complex history goes way back when cattle drives came in to that location. The slaughterhouses grew up in that location. There were mineral processing plants that grew up into that location, and an incredible diversity of cultures were attracted to the two communities that flank the Denver Western Complex. And so Globeville and Swansea are very diverse neighborhoods. So my conversation today with Denver Parks Director was, how can we bring our passion for that river and our passion for educating our future leaders and our passion for bringing in a more diverse population into our Trout Unlimited scope, or so we're just beginning this conversation, but I have high hopes that we can attract volunteers from our chapter to really support the environmental education and the awareness of our water resources with that particular population.
Well, John, maybe that's something that we could pull Geoff into also. Something at that scale might be something that we want to support at the state council level too. Well, because a lot of people come through that area. So I think that's something.
I just met with the parks people today, and we're setting up another meeting, and I requested our board chair to find some volunteers so that we get a group that will be developing those relationships.
All right, well, let's talk about that more offline, because I think that sounds like there's some great opportunities there. Geoff, do we want to kind of steer this towards like on the opportunity side or on the barrier side?
Let's explore opportunities.
I think so too.
Yeah, let's look towards the opportunities that you all see. And I know some of you even pointed to them in your introduction. So I'm excited that y'all are already thinking about that. And so I'm going to share a Google Doc link in the chat. And so if y'all want to go open that, switch over to that on my screen as well. And in there, we want to explore the different opportunities that you all see for stream of engagement programming. And we have some specific breakout room questions that we kind of left there to guide the conversation around some of the critical parts of stream of engagement programming. So let me get that up so we can all be looking at it. All right, so if everyone wants to take a few minutes to kind of plug in some thoughts in that Google Drive, and then we can move from there with a quick discussion on some of those thoughts and see if we have any ideas for action plans moving forward at our chapter or club levels.
Could you post the link to the Google Drive again? I'm sorry.
It's in the chat box.
In the
Yeah,
chat box.
I lost it and came back in, and you lose everything in chat.
Oh, yeah, you
So if
certainly
you could
do.
post that, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, there we go. Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks. Everyone's
Yeah, I
take it
can't
out.
get back in.
Are we putting this is Laura, are we putting a time limit on this part that we discussed earlier? Are we doing 10 minutes of this or 5 minutes?
Yeah, just a few minutes, really.
We'll take about 5 minutes or so.
Guys, for some reason, I'm not able to access the shared doc, but I'm going to play along vocally. Okay.
We knew there would be one.
I think it's being technologically inept on my end, and I think Annie can confirm that.
I think it's just you, Matt. It's okay.
That's what I figured you'd say.
Yeah, it's usually the answer. Sorry. I try to help.
All right, we're coming up on 5 minutes. And so kind of wrap up your last idea. I really appreciate everyone taking some time to input some thoughts. And Matt, if you want to read it, if you want to speak any of your thoughts, I'd be happy to type them in for you to get them on this doc.
I'll just add a little anecdote or two as we go through it, if that works.
That works great. It looks like everyone's just about wrapped up typing. So it looks like, because as I'm looking through these comments that people put in, it looks like folks really kind of touched on both barriers and opportunities kind of amidst these questions, which is great to have covered kind of both of the things we were hoping to chat about. Regarding volunteers and youth programs, it looks like folks have kind of had some great success in getting people engaged at the volunteer level, but maybe had challenges in sort of stepping them up to kind of being longer term leaders. So that's, can anyone tell me more about kind of what they mean with, these challenges I'm seeing with volunteers? How do we get more involvement? Looks like certainly connecting with people more personally. Does anyone want to offer their thoughts more conversationally regarding that?
Who is that, Matt?
Nope.
Oh, hey, it's Laura. I don't have my video on. There we go. I feel like, and maybe the people that need to hear this aren't on the call, but we can somehow translate it. I feel like in our chapter, I'm in West Denver, and we have some very dedicated volunteers that do a lot of work, but we're not translating, such as Riverwatch. We've never even approached Riverwatch as a Headwaters program. Like, it blew my mind to see that in the slides, that's actually a stream of engagement, like youth education opportunity, because it's just a person that goes out and does these samples. So I think, I'm not a trickle down person, but I really do think that at the top levels, we need to really engage our chapter leadership so that we can have a transition in thought process, that we look at these programs as opportunities and then start to involve younger people in them. And I'll stop there, and I hope that makes sense.
Does.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that we're trying to work with at Rocky Mountain Flycasters is just really something simple. Most all of our websites, all up and down, whatever level it is, has this volunteer page. And people say, hey, I'd like to volunteer, and what activities do you want to volunteer in? And we find that they never get contacted. And so just being able to personally go and say, someone volunteered, let's touch base with them, get involved, right, and see if we can find a spot for them. That is just closing the loop is something.
That's a big deal, Dave, closing the loop. I hear you.
That is a big part of it. But I also feel like when we contact people, we have to be specific. And I bet you that 90% of the people we contact, they say they want to do conservation projects. We know this, we have the data. But if we say, how about doing this particular program or project, and it is a youth education oriented project, to bring it full circle to what this whole meeting is about tonight, this focus group, like, I feel like we can make some actual change and get people more involved. I mean, I'm so stoked because Carter and Cliff and, you know, like,
Yeah.
I'd like to know what they think about what we're talking about, because we keep doing the same thing, but we need to listen to them and how we move forward and change things to like change our demographic.
I'm happy to comment on that. I think the biggest frustration being a youth in the fly fishing community is not being listened to. And I've already felt different about that in this meeting just because you asked me to comment on this. I feel like I've been at flycasters meetings or whatever, and I'm talking and it's not being received in the way that I want to be received because they're not actually listening to what I have to say. And I know somebody was talking about earlier, but my generation and Carter's generation, we're the future of this sport and this activity. And we're the future of having clean water and cold water. And if we're not engaged or addressed when we have an idea, it's not going to happen. And I've noticed that I've had club members being pushed away from the sport and then also from the community in general, just because they're not received in a guide position because they're young. And obviously there's people that are young and have, too much ideas and things like that. And they're overshooting what their boundaries are. But I think it's really important to listen to the youth and to hear what the youth want to do and then hear what youth ideas are. I think that's key.
I think what you're saying, Cliff, is really important. And it applies to every aspect of our lives, really. But, and we hear this, I think, on a regular basis. And this is one of the reasons that women also are not engaging, because they feel dismissed. And we feel dismissed in a lot of different ways in the fly fishing world. But you hit the nail on the head that if we want, and it might not even be intentional. It's probably very unintentional. But that's a really important point, and I really appreciate that you brought that up.
Absolutely.
I think one of the reasons that a lot of the youth get kind of turned away from the TU side of things which is something that can be hard to deal with since it kind of contradicts itself. Like they'll go to a meeting and they'll not see many people their age. And that'll kind of throw them off, which is obviously difficult to deal with from the start. But in addition to that, a lot of youth, I think, are more focused on the fishing part of things. And so if you can kind of grab their attention in that way, and then funnel them into the engagement with TU, that can help. That was really helpful for me I remember first going to some local chapter meetings back home and being like, okay, this is cool. I sit down, listen to a presentation, but I'd rather be out in the water. And so once I got to attend those camps and go fish with all these people and interact with them in the rivers and outdoors, then from there on, it was a lot easier to just be engaged with TU. So I think events that get people out on the water and get people outside are going to help engage them from the start, especially young people. That's what I would say for engagement. Definitely helpful.
Thank you. I think that we see a lot of that, even at our camp. You guys go to camp to fish.
Awesome. Yeah, I think a big, I guess something that's sort of from both Cliff and Carter, and then also what Laura said, is a key part of engaging volunteers, both adult volunteers to support youth programming and youth and young adults in those programs, is sort of both to provide a variety of opportunities for folks to engage in kind of what they're most interested in, but then also ask them what they're interested in. Don't assume that we know best all the time. And so, Cliff, I definitely appreciate you bringing that up, because I think sometimes we can get kind of bogged down into what we already have set and not be open to some new thoughts. And with that, I really appreciate kind of in the fundraising notes, the comments about kind of exploring new opportunities through social media. And I know Andy's worked with CTU at the CTU level to use social media and fundraising. And I'm glad to hear that CSU is doing that.
Yeah,
as well.
I would say social media, especially right now, is probably going to be the most successful tool for both fundraising and youth engagement and outreach. I think specifically Instagram, I think that's going to appeal and just get across to a younger audience more than anything else, whether it's Facebook or an email list or a website. So we utilize that a lot with getting in touch with our members and recruiting new members. And it's really easy to meet someone young and say, hey, just give us a follow on Instagram. And then they're connected with us from then on out and can see all our activities and all our events and what we're posting.
I have a question for you guys on the Instagram stuff, because I feel like some of our chapters don't really know how to use social media either. And are there, like, would you guys be willing to, and do you have friends that would be willing to like take I think Instagram, like for you guys, Instagram doesn't take up half your day. Like for some people, reposting stuff takes a lot of time. How do we get like a younger person to say, hey, I'll take over the Instagram page. I'll post our events and I'll post relevant stuff that has to do with TU that isn't just reposts of people's fish pictures. Like, how do we do that?
I think one of the main issues there is that the reason people use Instagram is infrequently is it to use it to find events or to get involved in something like that. And that's what we found with an issue with our Instagram. And this might be different for CSU, but we've had our greatest success posting really cool pictures that club members take of big fish, cool spots that they've been fishing, whatever. But we've had an issue advertising our events on there. We've had better luck advertising our events through very clean and organized email newsletters or a social media app called GroupMe, which is essentially a group messaging system for, as many people as you want, basically. But in terms of using Instagram to get information out there about your events, I think you need both, basically. You need to have a cool picture that someone wants to look at and someone wants to find out where that picture is and how do they catch that fish. But you also need to get them reading the comment and thinking about what the event is. Can they go? Do they want to go? I think it's all intertwined as to how it works to get someone really engaged. You need both aspects of it.
Yeah, and we definitely realize that. Well, it kind of starts with Instagram and then, we get people's attention that way. And then from Instagram, we say, check your email. This is coming out. Check with me. We're going to be talking about that. And then in terms of what you asked for, getting someone involved, I think a lot, if you do have some active younger members as part of your chapters, I think if you actually like reached out to them and told them that you all needed help with this, I think that would look good for them and feel good for them that they're needed. I remember being asked to do that at my chapter, and it was pretty cool being like, okay, all these people actually do need my help, and I could benefit this chapter as someone who's just in high school.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'd like to talk to you guys about this later too. We can kind of move on, but I'd like to learn more from you about it.
Yeah, all students my age group need things for their resume, and that's a great one. And we are so attracted to something that says, put this on your resume, because we are all building our resume and looking for different experiences to add to us as individuals. And that's huge for a young person to say, I ran a nonprofit's Instagram, their chapter, I helped them. Employers love that. And then that's just a great experience to have. So I think if you reached out to people, I think they would definitely be interested. I would be interested. That sounds great. So that's a really cool idea.
There you go. I love that shameless plug, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, guys,
I just learned I think I've been using Instagram wrong.
That's all right, Barb. Hey, Cliff and Carter, while I have you guys here, I'm curious about something. I was on a national TU call, and Chris Wood, the TU CEO, told a story about a young lady who set up a fly fishing get together with her local chapter, and she had, I want to say, 10 people show up to go fishing with her on the river. And then the next month, she set up a river cleanup, and she had like 40 people show up. And Chris's point was that the sort of the culture around conservation and whatever, being a sort of steward of a stream is kind of shifting. And I think one of his points was you don't necessarily have to be an angler to be involved. And I'm wondering if you guys have seen something similar, or if it's still both in Boulder and FOCO, if it's still fishing focused.
It's kind of, for us, we have other clubs at the school that focus more on specific like fish and wildlife conservation stuff. We have a AFS club, which is American Fisheries Society, as well as like a wildlife conservation club. So I think those clubs kind of take those members that would be more focused on the conservation thing, but we all kind of work together, especially when it comes to the conservation events, and pool members and pool ideas and with events and how to get people involved.
We've had so much success in that sense. We advertise a creek cleanup to the fly fishing community, and we'll go to Front Range Anglers, Rocky Mountain Anglers, the 2 fly shops in Boulder, and say, hey, we've got a creek cleanup. Do people want to come? And we've had little interest. But I go to my environmental policy class, and I stand at the front and I say, hey, this weekend at 5 o'clock on Saturday, I'm doing a creek cleanup, and people show up. Because it's not just anglers, it's environmentalists, it's people that are climbers that want to be out there and involved in the environment and doing really good things for the environment. And that's, the creek cleanup is a great way to do that. It's perfect.
That's cool. That's super
Other
cool.
avenues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a similar.
That's cool.
There was so we did something last year with the Big Thompson Watershed Coalition, and had a river cleanup with them. And it was advertised to the club, and we didn't get many people. And then I'm in the Warner College of Natural Resources here, and there was like a learning community that had a bunch of kids with different environmental science majors, and we ended up getting like 15 kids from that program.
There you go.
From their interest. There was also, I think, there was a grade that they got for participating in some sort of outdoor event as well. So that helped.
2 birds, baby. I love it. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
All right. And I want to be really conscious of time here. We're running up right against 8:30. And so I know we didn't get to work through all of these questions. This Google Doc will continue to stay live. So I certainly encourage you all, and I'll add it back into the chat and for folks before we hop off. But one, for their time, we had hoped to get to a point where we could talk about an action plan for chapters and clubs to kind of what they might look towards moving forward to try and engage youth. But we're, as I said, we're coming up against 8:30 right now. So it's an hour and a half, and just want to be respectful of everyone's time. So I want to encourage everyone to kind of think about what we can take away from this session, and how we can use what we learned, both from, and I can't tell you, Cliff and Carter, how grateful I am to have you guys here to share as sort of the next generation, and how you are all engaging kind of your peers, and how we can learn from your experience. So to certainly take what you learned. We're hopeful you'll think about opportunities, and I know that I've reached out to many of you as chapter leaders to kind of set up meetings, and so looking forward to kind of run with some of this information, some of these new thoughts, and see how we can help you engage youth education in your communities, or youth in education programs in your communities. As we're wrapping up, does anyone have any last thoughts?
I just want to say, I think Carter already did, but I'll put my email and contact information in the chat. And that way, if anyone has any questions, please shoot me an email. I'd love to chat more about this topic. I really want to get the club involved in these sort of programs. And so, yeah, I'll put my email in there. Please let me know if anyone has any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, I just put all my contact information as well in the chat.
Carter, you want to volunteer in the Colorado camp?
Is it so? That's over the summer.
Yeah, it is. It's in June. We can
Awesome.
talk more.
I would love to be interested. I'm very interested in it. At the moment, I don't know what my plan for the summer is.
Yeah, obviously.
In state, but
That's okay.
if I
but
am, then definitely.
We can
Yeah,
keep
let
you
me
in the loop.
put in a competing plug. We have the Rocky Mountain Flycasters day camp, which is also in the summer, which we need mentors.
Awesome.
So
yeah,
give you some
I know
opportunities.
the people from New Hampshire are calling me, trying to get me back to their camp as well. So we'll see.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Or and both of you recruiting, maybe recruiting a few people that you see as leaders in your clubs that would be good at the camps. We can talk more. We can definitely talk more about that. Communicate. In January, we'll be starting planning for camp. Right now, we're still, sitting here in the COVID world, just like you. You're a little closer to it than us, but nonetheless, super. I really appreciate everyone that participated in this tonight. Our vision, Geoff and I, our vision was, to have an open conversation about barriers and opportunities so that we can use this information to strategize, how to move forward and how to build on the framework that we have and leverage enthusiasm and leverage our volunteer pools across the state to inspire more young people to be interested in our water and our rivers. So I really appreciate everyone's contributions tonight and taking the time to join us. I wish everyone well the rest of your evening. Stay safe out there and take care of yourselves.
Thanks, Barb. Thanks,
Thank you.
Geoff.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone, for joining.